Good evening, students. So let us move on to the next topic, which is Millikan's oil drop experiment. So as we already know, J.J. Thomson had given the charge to mass ratio. Now the next attempt was to find out the value of that mass of the electron and the charge of the electron, and that was given by a scientist named R.A. Millikan. And for his work, he had also got the Nobel Prize award. Okay, so he was successful in finding the charge, what is the value of that charge and what is the value of the mass of the electron. So for that he made a setup, and in that setup he took all these equipments. So let us see what the setup is. He did this experiment in around the duration of the year 1906 to 1914. Around this duration he made this setup and he performed this setup, and also he was predicting what is the value of the charge of the electron as well as the mass of the electron. So what all he took, let us see what the setup is. Okay, so he took an atomizer. Over here. What is atomizer? Atomizer is nothing but it is like a perfume bottle. From this we can spray. So in this perfume was not there, obviously the oil was contained over here. As the experiment's name is Millikan's oil drop experiment, so naturally oil was taken over here in the atomizer. So atomizer is an instrument from which drop by drop, like a mist, the droplets of the oil were dropped. Okay, so and then he took a telescope over here. Then plate was taken over here. Charge plates were taken over here. This plate is the cathode, which is the negatively charged plate, and this plate is the anode, which is the positively plate. And on this trough he made a hole over here, small, from where the oil droplets can move. Then this charge plates were connected to a battery source. This voltage was variable voltage source. From here we can adjust the voltages. Okay, then he took over here x-rays over here. From here the x-rays entered over here, and here was the telescope. So these all were the setup things of the Millikan oil drop experiment. So basically what he did, he took some oil over here and he just pressed it so that the oil droplets can move inside this chamber. So as the hole was small, so drop by drop the oil drops were moving inside. Okay, and then a telescope was attached over here to monitor Millikan. Millikan used to monitor from this telescope what was the behavior of these oil droplets. Now over here also he took X-ray from the source. So X-rays were passed from here. From this hole, X-rays were passed from here. What the X-rays did? They ionized the gases. Inside this chamber. And they produced the electrons. So basically they were the production machine for the electrons. Okay. So the electrons were combining with these oil droplets. And each droplet had electron over it. As the oil droplets came inside this chamber, they were filled with the electrons, and each droplets now had the electrons on them. Each droplet had the electrons on them. So yeah, these are the oil droplets and the electrons were on them. Now these droplets were not the droplets of the oil, but the droplets of the electron. They were droplets of the electron. Now these were the droplets of the electron. Now this oil droplet had two forces acting on them. One was the gravitational force. Every object is having the gravitational force, a force of attraction downwards towards gravity. That is the gravitational force. Attraction towards the gravitational force. So that is the each droplet which were carrying the electrons, they were having two forces on them. So one was the force of attraction. Force of gravity. One was the force of gravity. that is attraction towards earth. It is attraction towards the earth. Okay, that is attraction towards the earth. And the second force was the electrostatic force, because a battery was attached over here. These were the electrodes. These were the behaving as the electrodes. These were the charged plates. One was the cathode, one was the anode. So the battery was attached over here. So here were the electrostatic forces. Now these droplets had electrons on them. So electrons behave as negatively charged electrons. So they behave as a negatively charged electrons. So negative, when it used to come down, here there was a repelling force, because like charges repel each other and unlike charges attract each other. So here there was a repelling force. So the another force which was acting on it was the repelling force. Okay. Because this was also negative, and when it came to the negative electrode, negative charge plate, then it repelled. So it was having two forces. Now the force of gravity cannot be changed. We already know it is fixed. Force of gravity cannot be changed. But the only thing which can change, because it was the thing that was happening was oil droplet with the electron was coming down, again it was going up. Because of the force of gravity, it was coming down, again it was going up. Somewhat it was coming down, somewhat again it was going up. So this was the whole thing happening over here. Now the force of gravity cannot change. It is the value of force of gravity. Gravity is the fixed. It cannot change, okay. But we can change the repelling force from this battery, because here the battery which was attached was a variable voltage battery. So it was a variable voltage. So we can change this voltage. The input which we were giving to the charge plates can change by the variable voltage. So I can adjust a voltage in which my force of gravity is equal to the force of electricity. I can adjust a voltage in which my force of gravity is equal to the force of electricity. So he got a relationship. He was observing all these things, all these minute things from this telescope. He used to continuously monitor the inside, what all is happening with the oil droplets, what all is happening with the droplets on which the electrons have now come. Now they are the droplets of electrons. So what all things are happening. So Millikan was continuously observing and monitoring from this telescope, and he came to the conclusion that when force of gravity is equal to the force of electricity, then only my droplet can get balanced and it can come in a stable position, a sustained position. It can get balanced and it can come in a stable and sustained position. Okay, so from this we get mg is equals to QE, because Q is the force of electricity, Q is the charge, and E is the voltage we are applying, EMF we are applying over here, E over here, and force of gravity is mg. G is the gravitation, G denotes for the gravity. Okay, so mg is equals to QE. So he did this experiment for several droplets, several million droplets over here. Several times he did this experiment. He used to again fill the atomizer with oil and he used to repeat the experiment, and he came to a conclusion that different oil droplets had different charges, but it was the integral multiple of 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. So it was the integral multiple of this much value. So ultimately he found out that this value is same for all the droplets. So the smallest droplet value will be 1.6 into 10 power minus 19, because every droplet was different. Every all droplets had different electrons present, different charge electrons present on them. So but the smallest of it will have definitely 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. So we came to the conclusion that the value of the charge is Q is equals to 1.6 into 10 power minus 19 coulomb. And from here we got the value of charge, and it is accepted till today. And till today we are dealing with the value of charge as 1.6 6 into 10 power 19 coulomb. Okay, now he got the value of charge. Now was to find the value of the mass of the electron. So the mass of electron, he used the relation. For that, he used the relation of the J.J. Thomson. He used the relation of electron to mass ratio of the J.J. Thomson. He used that relationship, and then from there he found out, he placed all the values. As we already know, Q by ME or E by ME is equal to 1.758820 into 10 power 11 coulomb per kg, and he took this, and in the place of electron value, charge value, he had placed 1.6 into 10 power minus 19. Okay, and from there he found out, he divided these values, and he found out that the mass of the electron comes out to be 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kg. It comes out to be 9.1 into 10 power minus 31 kg. So ultimately he was successful in giving the values of the mass of electron as well as the charge of the electron. And so this experiment was successful, and till today we are using these values everywhere in our applications. Okay, so thank you. So please subscribe my channel, please share my videos, and if you have any doubt, you can ask me in the comment section. Thank you.